Hey y'all, hey, we are back for another review of Sisters. We're on season 9, episode 10, entitled Backshot. Danny is asking her cousin, whatever his name is, cousin that showed up at the airport randomly. Unfortunately, yes, like I said, he's going to be a part of the season. Not sure what his role is going to be, but as for right now, he is the interruption that is distracting Tony from getting his life together, or contributing to Tony not getting his together. So she's asking her cousin, like, "Hey, cousin, what are you doing here? Like, how did you get in here?" And so him and Tony appear to be comfortable already, and you would think that they were old friends. No. What happened is delinquent cousin knocked on the door and said, "Hey, I'm Danny's cousin. Can I come in?" And he opened the door, and they've been playing video games ever since. Really annoying. Either way, Danny asked Tony, like, "Listen, look at this place. Did you even try to clean up? There's a lot going on. What the entire fuck?" And Tony's like, "Yeah, I mean, I was just out here hanging out with your cousin. I don't know him. But, he said it was your cousin. I let him in. We've been kicking it." And so Danny pretty much loses her shit, and Rock, his name is Rock. She's like, "Rock, get your ass out of here. Tony, get this place cleaned up before we have a problem." And then as she's ranting and raving, right, she picked up a piece of mail, and she's like, "Oh, y'all can have this shit." So she rushes out of the apartment because her settlement check has arrived from when she sued the airline. And so now she's got to she's like, "All right, let me call Sabrina so I can help her, so she can help me make some wise decisions with this money." Of course, she's keeping it close to the vest because Rock has no business knowing about the settlement, and damn sure not Tony, because, that could be a problem knowing that, hey, girl, you got a settlement and I don't have a job. Even though you quit the job, you had it, whatever. Neither here nor there. So that's what she's deciding to do. Meanwhile, Andy and Fatima are talking about her meetings with the basketball players, and Andy, instead of, congratulating her for sealing these sorts of big deals for the company, she reminds Fatima, like, the basketball players are not her priority, and she needs the nurse's statements from this case that she's pursuing against Dr. Whatever, the delinquent doctor, whatever his name is. And Fatima's like, "I agree. I'm doing the best I can. I know I've been slipping a little bit, but I'm going to get you what you need." Okay? And Andy also tells her, like, she's upset because I got to present all of this evidence so that Benson will decide to take on the case, which I think is one of the other partners. And she is now being a little bit more short, a little bit more sassy, a little bit more nasty when she's talking to Fatima, which I don't really appreciate because that girl has held this place down, which she's going to remind Andy by the end of the season, by the end of the episode. But girl, I have held you down when you was in the midst of going through it with Gary, his wife, when you had a lot going on with Robin, like in the midst of, matter of fact, she was the one that told Robin that he was hosting the meeting to kind of have her forcibly suspended so she can get her crap together. Like throughout all of this, Fatima has been looking out for her, and you now offer her no type of grace in this situation. So that really aggravated me, and it's really going to piss me off, but this is what we got to deal with. Either way, Zach is at Rich's juice bar waiting for his meeting with the basketball players, Mr. Chaz. And of course, Rich fans out the second that Chaz walks in, and Zach is just kind of standing there with his arms crossed, and he's mean-mugging from initially. Like, the tension is very, very, very much thick, and Zach is like, "Yeah, I'm Zach, what up?" Like, he's being real short-worded with him, got an attitude, and Chaz is just oblivious. He's like, "Oh, man, nice to meet you. Fatima said, everything's cool. You're looking forward to this money deal, this money-making opportunity, blah, 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 blah." And again, Zach is going to be paying him dust throughout the whole episode. Meanwhile, Karen goes into the shop, and the shop has appeared to disintegrate from kind of a high-end situation to being about 2 steps from a brunch spot in Atlanta with people twerking across your waffles. It's almost giving, there's music playing, there's a million people kind of having their hair half done because they've been double and triple and quadruple booked. There's just a lot of chaos and confusion going on, and Karen can't even find words. And Pam is just sitting there acting like it's a brand new issue. Like, girl, yeah, we double booked ourselves today, and it hasn't been going on like this the whole time, which, okay, Pam, girl, we know you're delinquent, but we didn't have time to deal with this. And so Pam is apologetic because she knows that some things have gotten out of hand at the shop, and she's going to do what she can. And Karen is so upset because the salon is in disarray. And she tells Pam, like, "Hey, like, how did it get like this? Like, the salon is the only thing that I have done right. In her mind, that's the only thing that she's been able to do correctly, you know, here recently. And Pam is trying to convince her otherwise, but she's not having it. She's like, girl, I simply cannot deal with this. She gets the hell on up out of there because she cannot deal with everything that, she can't deal with this on top of everything that's going on, which totally understandable. And unfortunately, Pam's kind of the only person she's had to depend on to keep this ship afloat. And we know that Pam, I really had hope in Pam, you know, kind of doing this thing the right way or keeping it up to code, but child, bye. Not likely. All right. So we see Sabrina. Sabrina has a lunch date at her apartment. Marcus was able to get her on some kind of exclusive invite-only dating app based on, you know, your dollar value, your earning potential, whatever the criteria is. It's invite only, background checks. It's a whole lot. It's a gauntlet of things that you have to go through just to get invited. She's in. She meets a doctor on there, and she has a lunchtime apartment. A lunchtime date at her apartment. Jeez Louise. And she's trying to kind of like boost herself up so she can seal the deal, because she's trying to get her hot girl summer on, right? And so she's trying to do it with this caliber of people as opposed to just picking up random people at the guy, because we know that did not work out very well with Uncle Ben, you know, the night partner. All right, so we see Dr. Jamal. He's showing up, and he's trained to go. Like, he's like, all right, girl, what's up? What's your name? Close the door, lock the door, get into bed. That's the energy he's on. And Sabrina's like, it's given like she's not trying to back up all them text messages that she was sending, even though it was not her. And he's like, you know, you seem a little different compared to what you was talking about in the messages. You're like, well, what did I say? He was like, you know, basically expressing that you was trained to go. And she was like, God damn it, Maurice, like, you got me in something. I'm, you know, just a little bit out of my character. But she got to go through with it. This is who she wants to embrace, this aspect of her. So this is what we doing. And she's kind of asking some origin story, family question. And he's like, ma'am, we're not here for all that. We're not doing that. Well, you know, so to speak. And he tells her, like, listen, let's go ahead and get to business. And we gonna get down to going people's business. All right. We see Andy, and she asks for the nurse's statement again, and Fatima has not gotten around to it. Now, I don't know the amount of times that have elapsed. Like, if it's going to take me 3 hours to get it done, and you're asking me in 1 hour, girl, calm down. Or if you're asking me in 30 minutes, everybody calm down. Either way, she reminds Fatima, like, girl, you've been slipping lately, and you're normally on top of what needs to be done. Again, where's the grace? Like, if she's only slipped one time out of 100, stall him out. Like, come on, give us some leeway. Either way, she knows how important this is to Andy's potential case. Like, this isn't even really a case yet, but she's building up her evidence to make this a case. And Fatima acknowledges, like, I know how important this is to you and your fight for black women and what you're trying to do. I understand, and I'm trying to get this done. But I also got this other thing done that's being done. You know, you don't think it's important because I'm not a licensed lawyer. However, we know how important Miss Willis is to the company. And this is Mrs. Willis's pet project for Fatima. So it's almost just as important as what you're getting done. So again, give her a little bit of grace. Either way, Hayden walks in with his basketball player's demands. And he's like, oh, Fatima, can you get this filed in his can you get to put in his file, blah, 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 blah. In the midst of Andy already being angry that she has not done what she wants done, Hayden comes in with this list of basketball player paperwork that she needs to be done. And so now Andy's looking at her like, girl, who do you work for? You work for me or you work for Hayden? Again, not fair. Get that lady some grace. Like, that's kind of all I can put on that situation, because I don't think it's fair. Like, give her a little bit of grace, stall her out. Like, I feel like she's going to be able to balance it, and she doing the best she can. Honestly. Anyway, whatever. Later on in the episode, we see Sabrina. She's finally able to seal the deal, if you get where I'm going, with Dr. Jamal, and we're gonna call him Dr. Feelgood. And you know, she's just kind of almost in post-coital bliss. All right, and we know that this is just supposed to be a little one-off, but both of them are like, you know what, this ain't too bad. We can keep this going. Hopefully, we can keep this going without the feelings that normally get attached the way Sabrina attaches to people, but I doubt it. So yeah. All right, so we see Chaz is still going on and on to Zach about his business idea and all that other stuff. And then Zach is like, he's talking and Zach is cutting him off. What kind of food you trying to sell? He's like, you know, bar, you know, pub food, you know, nothing too deep, just regular bar food. And Zach is like rapid fire questions. I hit one by one, not even interested in hearing the answer, but just, you know, spouting off questions. And then he also lets them know, like, you do know that most restaurants fail within the first most new businesses or something to that effect, fails within the first 2 years and all this other stuff. Like, you know, you think you got everything together, but Debbie thought about this. And Chaz is like, if you let me finish, I will tell you what I found out before I even brought this to you. And if you gave me an opportunity, you know that mine is unique in the fact that there's going to be a basketball court attached. And it's also a exclusive type place where league players are going to be hanging out. So that's going to be a selling point, because it's not just like Dave and Buster's or, you know, some other little sports pub. It's a sports pub atmosphere, but there's like an exclusivity tied to it, because that's where, like I said, the league players, the professional players are going to be, and there's going to be a full basketball court attached to it. So that's also a seller if it comes to like practice or, you know, stuff like that. So I like the idea. Surely I like the idea. And then he tells Zach, like, his college roommate has been able to manage three large restaurants from the ground up, and he's agreed to come on board and help me. So that likelihood of failing within the first 2 years has been kind of accounted for, and we can kind of mitigate that because we have a specialized manager on board. All that stuff has kind of been worked out, and he's worked out a lot of the back end stuff. He's worked out on the front end, so he's did his research. Even though he seems a little bit airheaded, he's done a lot of that legwork. So that's to be commended. Then he messes up and saying, you know, Fatima did say that, you know, you were ready to come on board. You were good to say. Just the fact that he brought up Fatima's name just sends Zach into a tizzy. And then Zach goes on, talks about something that has nothing to do with the business, and he's like, why do you think it's appropriate to send another woman's expensive gifts? And so he's looking like, Chaz is looking like, one expensive gift, but we'll talk about how this goes further in the episode. Meanwhile, we see Karen. Karen is running down her day to her mama, and her mama's sitting there holding baby Faith, and she unloads, like she poops in the diaper, and it's kind of funny. They share this little moment as mother-daughter, you know, and they share a good laugh about it, and Karen kind of takes this deep breath, and you can almost visibly see like the weight kind of lift off her. I think of her in her conversation with Dr. Vaughn, and then this moment where she's not removed and Aaron is kind of not there to stand in the gap. Even though her mama's there, I think there's a maternal air that's in the building. Just hear me out. And they have this laugh, and then, you know, she kind of braces herself and gets her mind right. She tells her mom like she's ready to hold baby Faith. If I'm not mistaken, y'all tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. I think this is the first time she's held baby Faith since the hospital, and since finding out that baby Forever has passed away. So this appears to be progress. This appears to be progress, and I'm definitely happy about that. Meanwhile, Fatima finally produces these nurses reports for Andy, and she doesn't say thank you, girl, appreciate you, thanks for coming through. She looks through them and she's like, girl, this ain't even all the reports. Like, it's supposed to be 15 nurses reports, and there's only 12. And the reports were supposed to be backdated only 6 months, and this is 2. So this is clearly an oversight. And Fatima tells her, like, listen, my bad. It was an error. Somehow something got lost in translation, you know, in the documents, leaving the nurses and getting to me. I'm not sure what the breakdown is, but I'll work on it. And she tells Fatima, like, girl, you've been letting me down all day. Again, it's just one day now. One day out of all these days that Fatima has held this place down. Whatever. And then he wants her to focus more on what she needs her to do, and to have her back on this Dr. Cruz case. And Fatima, this is where Fatima gets fed up with her bullcrap and tells her, like, girl, you kind of calling my loyalty into question when I've held you down. Again, in all those scenarios that I brought up earlier in the review, girl, I held you down all time after time after time again. Now the first time I fail, or the first time I'm taking a little longer than you desire, you're questioning loyalty. I don't like that. But, you know, professionally speaking, this is what Fatima's relaying to her. And Andy reminds her, like, okay, girl, I hear what you're saying. Like, she being real sassy, knowing how far Fatima's willing to go, and knowing who she knows and what she's connected to and what she's able to get done. You're being real sassy. You just almost lost your life at the hands of Gary's ex-wife. You might want to bring it down a notch. Either way, Andy reminds her like, yeah, girl, we're friends, but I'm also your boss. So we're playing the boss card, even though I don't think it necessarily needed to be played in this situation. Y'all let me know if y'all feel differently in the comments, but that's what I think. All right. Chaz is sitting there looking at Zach, and he is outdone with Zach. He's like, what's your problem? What's up? What's the problem? I thought we were here to talk business. And Zach is like, I don't want to do no investment opportunities with you. I don't want to kick it with you. I don't want to see you, smell you. I don't want nothing to do with you. And Chaz is like, so you big mad that another dude is showing Fatima some appreciation? And he was like, since we talking about that one little gift, since we here, you mad that I sent the lady a purse, but only the purse? Like, you ain't mad about everything else that I sent her? And Zach is looking like, what you mean? Mind you, he didn't send a bunch of gifts, flowers, just a bunch of other stuff to Fatima's office. Could be seen as inappropriate, but Fatima wasn't given an opportunity to handle it either. Either way, Zach is kind of finding out all about this all right now. And of course, things get elevated and Rich has to run interference. And he tells Chaz, like, hey, we're not doing that in here. Just go ahead and leave. Go ahead and head out, and we'll have to deal with this later. And of course, Chaz is like, yeah, that's why your little green smoothie tastes like dirt. Like, I don't got to kick it with none of y'all. So now they got beef. Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doo. Okay. Okay. Finally, we hear a nurse call Andy to see if she's still pursuing legal actions against Dr. Cruz. And Andy's like, absolutely. Of course I am. She's like, okay, cool. But did you know that there's a class action suit against him in Alabama? Mind you, we're in Georgia. Well, of course I don't, but tell me more. Well, there were lots of deaths under his watch in Alabama as a OBGYN as well. And we found out that Dr. Cruz has changed his first name and moved to Georgia to start over because there was so much legal action on his ass in Alabama. He had to get up out of the kitchen because the fire was too hot, changed that first name, and went to a new city. And anytime anybody gets really close to nailing him down, and getting some justice up out of him, he disappears. So Andy thinks, okay, well, not this time. I'm going to get him. Okay, girl, we'll see. But Dr. Cruz is really a problem and a formidable opponent. This is going to be an uphill battle for Andy. And what I want to know is if Benson, one of the white partners, was telling Andy, oh, he's been my golf buddy for years and he would never do that and blah, 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 blah. Was he your buddy when he was in Alabama as well? Because if so, he changed that first name. And we also see in the previews for next week's episode, which is this week because it's Monday, that Benson decided he's not taking the case. Why? Because your friend full of crap? Exactly. Okay. Anyway, that's it. That's been season 9, episode 10. Let me know what y'all think about the episode. We got a few more before the season finale. I'm going to talk about it there in the comments. In the meantime, that's all I got. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or whatever it is that you feel like doing. And I'll see you in the next one.